right, and welcome to Fastbreak Breakfast, NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. Got a big show today. The Bucks are the world champs. Zach Harper will be here soon. Damon Rangula is going to come on later to help wrap up the show. But right now, I'm here with John Burr.
How do
John.
I can't live up to the heat on this show.
Oh, the billing? Is the billing too much?
Woo!
That's why you're first.
Oh, good. Like a warm-up back.
Yeah, kind of getting
Makes sense.
The folks warmed up. I want to know, John, what are your feelings of world champion Giannis Antetokounmpo? Did it warm your soul? Did it warm your innards?
Yes, because this is our first superstar that I can ever recall whose game has a feet of clay type aspect to it, where he acknowledges it, where it's like Chris Middleton is the closer.
Yeah.
I'm not always great at free throw shooting. Whereas usually you just get somebody who has these type of flaws and they're like, no, Mamba mentality. Or Shaq, no, I get 35 and 17 every night. They're just
Shaq's I make them when it matters on free throws.
Yes, stuff like that. And you just don't have someone with the security or the sensitivity to just be like, there's some things that he's just very, very human. He's not he doesn't feel like a brand. He doesn't feel like he speaks in simply platitudes. I still feel like we get a real person from Giannis, and that is very heartwarming.
He's somehow opened up where he's become this just universally beloved figure. I don't know if it's an English as second language thing or third language or fourth language, whatever it is for him, where maybe if he was speaking in a native tongue that he actually wouldn't be this forthright. And this
I'm afraid to say anything further, but you may be right.
Yeah, but he's so everything he says is so lovable, and the way he talks about his failures, where he's like, "Yeah, I airballed 3 free throws, and it's not that big of a deal. I recognize it. And I'm trying to work through it."
Right.
Where he's like, "Yeah, Kevin Durant's the best player in the world."
You just don't get that from other players. There's just not an acknowledgement of the flaws openly like that. There's always, it's just always. Usually where it's global icons versus forces of nature,
Yeah.
And Giannis for his incredible skill, you still have, and I'm sure this will be, trained out of him.
It'll be beaten out of him by Nike executives.
I remember saying similar things about LeBron James at a point in my life.
Oh, okay.
And now I can't even, imagine going to see his globally dominant film that's about basketball, and I'm on a basketball podcast.
But it also, I think, was super satisfying for you and me, who maybe don't always cheer for Chris Paul. I know you personally were rooting for a game 7 just for the glory of the basketball.
But the amount of pain that this loss must have caused the Suns is beautiful, because this is a devastating loss. Yeah. And it's a devastating loss for many reasons that people may not think of at first blush. This is a scenario where if I am a Suns fan, I will think we should have won that game forever.
Yeah.
If our best player, who the strength of his greatest tool is 3-point shooting, makes 2 of his 3-pointers as opposed to 0.
Yeah.
If their Achilles heel free throw shooter, if his woes even stay anywhere near average, as opposed to making 17 of 19 or whatever it was, we win the game. If we just don't have extended streaks in quarters where we don't even play anything resembling basketball and we score 16 points in a quarter, we win the game. This is one of those games that haunts a franchise forever, and they are doomed to never be back.
The way they lost games 4, 5, and 6.
It got away from them.
They were in those games. Games 5 and 6, it felt like they were getting beat down the whole games, but they actually weren't. They were close.
They have 2 games where Devin Booker outshines everybody on the court by orders of magnitude, except for maybe Chris Middleton, and they lose.
Yeah. The free throw thing, that's what I wanted to point out. I feel like it is sweet revenge for Giannis to do this immediately in the game after Chris Paul's post-game comments, where Chris Paul's like, listen, when he goes to the free throw, he's expecting to miss. We're all expecting him to miss. Even he's expecting himself to miss. We just have to get those rebounds. For him to say that, and then for Giannis to go out and make 90% of his free throws in this close game,
I think
that's the difference.
And he made like 70 or 80% of the free throws in the last 2 home games. Like the difference, I mean, if you're a Suns fan, you're like, if only we could have been at home enchanted.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's just so many ways that Suns fans are crestfallen. And I don't really have anything against Suns fans other than general unpleasantness of Phoenicians that I've met in my life, but there's not that many. But I do have a very strong distaste for one Devin Booker and especially for one Chris Paul. So I got my rocks off, so to speak. I mean, there's every player on Milwaukee's pretty darn lovable. So, I mean, it was hard to root against them already. I was inspired by the overdog story of Suns in 4, but that can only last for so long. Whereas this is a weird one because it's like, it was such a strange postseason, but I feel like the Bucks have a player and a core transcendent enough to make more runs like this, that this will be, it'll end up a footnote as opposed to something that we remember, because we really don't remember the details all that often anyways. Kind of like we don't really remember, like you and I will bring up like the bubble asterisk, but we're like in a small minority.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the only asterisk for this one is going to be if people can remember like the Nets series.
That's
like,
the one.
That's
like the only one.
That's a big one, but there's a lot of those throughout history that eventually no one really cares.
They were finished.
Yeah, it felt like they were. I mean, you have the Bucks coming back from 2-0 down twice. In this postseason, incredible.
Honestly, the sheer improbability of Giannis's leg being bent backwards and then 2 weeks later scoring 50 points in a deciding game is such a profoundly improbable, insane thing that's what we're going to remember.
His performance was so dominant that goes down in the annals of NBA history, and I think that'll erase any there's also a lot of injuries that season. The fact that he himself was hurt and then came back and did this monstrous performance.
It's like the best non-LeBron, non-Duncan, non-Magic Johnson finals performance of my lifetime.
Possibly.
And that's three of the greatest players who ever laced him up.
Yeah,
I didn't even throw in Michael Jordan because I just don't remember those, like such destruction in the finals. I don't remember the way I remember those games that,
Oh yeah, that's
there's no legend to them other than like the shot, which wasn't in the finals, So it's just his were like executions, whereas this was a hard fought series. I hope that is remembered. That's another reason I wanted a Game 7 so badly, because this was. I know people point to some of the games being blowouts, but some of them weren't, and some of them were amazing.
Yeah. You had
what is it? Game 5 is an all-timer.
Well, you had both of these where, I mean, the Game 4 that ends on the block, and then Game 5 with the alley-oop. But now Giannis joins Kareem and Tim Duncan as the only players by the age of 26 to accrue a Finals MVP, 2 regular season MVPs, and a Defensive Player of the Year. So this is now. Wow. It went from like question marks, like, oh, people are going to have voter fatigue because he flamed out in the playoffs on the MVP vote, to now the next season he gets this. He gets the title of the Finals MVP in this dominant performance.
I know Giannis is like almost a 10-year veteran. What does he have, like 8 or 9 years in the league?
Yeah, a lot of years.
But he's 26 years old. And like outside of like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Tim Duncan, you just don't really win championships as like the center. And you can even say Magic Johnson still had Kareem. You don't win NBA championships as the centerpiece of your team at that age. Like Michael Jordan, he was still battling. He was still sowing his oats and fighting through the Pistons and the Celtics at that time. And Giannis has already ascended. So, I mean, I don't know.
It's that's the thing, John. That's the thing for me is you don't have a guy playing for the team that drafted him ascend to this and then win the title as the best player on the team that drafted him. And it's like you said, by 26, like when's the last time? I mean, we talk about
Duncan Larry
Yeah,
Bird.
it's Duncan. But Duncan also had that thing where he joined a team that was already good.
Yeah.
You know, like they had the injury and got lucky to end up with Duncan. This is one where they were the dregs of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They got Giannis late in the draft relatively for like his production, how he's turned out. But for him to grow from
this
him
is
and Chris Middleton.
This is definitely the only like 17th pick type.
Yeah, but like
do this.
Him and Chris were on the team and they won 15 games.
Yeah.
And then they've just they got better. And then now they win the title. And
they overcame Mike Budenholzer.
Mike Budenholzer is going to be a Hall of Fame coach now, John. How have you handled that news? Are you okay with that? Are you going to be able to live with that?
I mean, it kind of fits the profile, the Lenny Wilkens-esque profile of an NBA Hall of Fame coach. Just get them counting stats, baby.
I think, man, I think Bud did a good job. The other thing that I'm so like,
hey, it may have taken them to the finals, but you should still get credit for doing it in the finals when you make changes as drastic as were made. And it may have taken something as silly as a Dario Saric injury to put you in a position where you do some of the things you do, but you still get credit for it in the end.
I mean, I was happy with Bud that he didn't play Jeff Teague. Like It was like 1 minute. He started ceding the PJ Tucker minutes to Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis got more and more minutes because they needed offense. They did not need necessarily, I think, what Tucker was doing. I mean, Tucker
if Giannis Antetokounmpo misses his normal amount of free throws,
yes,
that's the Bobby Portis game. And we're probably in a game 7.
Could be. No, that could be true. So after the game, the post-game press conference, John, you and I, we've both had children. We both have very small children. I think we're both a little older. Maybe we're getting a little softer. We're getting a little more emotional. I know I never cried essentially until I had kids. Now I cry at everything. When Giannis turned to Chris Middleton and he said, "We did it, Chris, we did it," I started weeping. It was the most beautiful moment.
That did not happen to me.
Okay. I didn't know if it was just me. I didn't know if others were moved such.
To paraphrase you, Keith, that did not patch my tire. That wasn't.
Oh, thank you.
At all. I mean, I enjoyed the post-game presser. And now sitting here thinking about this, I kind of blew it. I wasted an opportunity to root for Giannis Antetokounmpo because now he's too good and I'm not going to be able to anymore. I've never been able to root for the favorite during the course of my NBA fandom. He's too good now. I missed my shot.
Man, I've always been a huge Chris Middleton fan, as you know. Drew Holiday, one of my favorite players. And that combined with my absolute hatred or my unbelievable desire for the Suns not to win the title.
It really couldn't have worked out better for Grizzlies fans who hate the Suns and Chris Paul and Devin Booker.
Pure ecstasy. I was strutting around my basement. When Giannis was blocking those shots in the fourth quarter, I was clapping. I was waking up the household.
And people don't know, now that we're on video, I can kind of show people that Keith has like this Woody from Toy Story, like Jesco White thing. So when you're picturing a clapping, we're talking about full arm hillbilly, like clogging clapping.
No, it's the giant wings of a dragon, like loosely.
It's the pelican mascot.
Flapping together, or a pelican mascot. That might be more accurate. Finally,
I was rather stoic.
Okay.
I wish that I could have expressed more, but I'm sitting there, a grown man in a Suns and 4 shirt, realizing that I've missed my chance
to root
for Giannis as an underdog on a team. I quite like the Bucks, but you know, it was one of those things where I could not lose. I was rooting for a good series, and that's honestly the best place to be once your team is eliminated, as ours always is.
So after winning the title, Giannis took the trophy home. He took the MVP trophy home as well. He woke up.
Is that legal? Can you do that?
Sure, why not? He woke up on Wednesday morning and then went to Chick-fil-A. And in honor of his 50 points, he ordered 50 maybe nuggets. Maybe it was 50 chicken minis. I wasn't sure what the actual order was, but that had me wondering, John.
Right.
If you achieved maybe your professional peak, achieved your lifelong goal, and to celebrate, where would you then go? Which fast food restaurant would you go to the following morning at 10 a.m.?
This isn't a breakfast item. You're going to be disappointed. I am going to Long John Silver's. I want chicken planks, and I want 50 boxes of the fried nothing batter. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what.
Just the little
I know
Crispies.
what Long John Silver's is. I have no idea what a fried nothing batter is.
So it is literally just batter drippings that they kind of. It's supposed to be some sort of like garnish or bed of nonsense that the planks of. And don't get the fish. The fish is bad, but the chicken's very good. And I would just fill my aorta and valves and ventricles until bursting, because it can't get much better than being a 26-year-old with two trophies in the front of your sports car headed to the drive-through.
It's pretty awesome. Well, anyway, John, thanks for stopping by. I might have you swing back in to compete with Damon Rangula on a game of scones at the end of the program, but we will talk to you soon.
Burr and 4 on that one, folks.
All right. Thanks, man. I think
no problem.
That'll all work. See you, buddy.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
What's going
on? A lot. You doing all right?
Oh, I'm great, man. Top of the world.
Let's make sure this is recording. Great. Make sure this is recording. Great. All right.
There we go.
Let's rock and roll. I'm joined right now by Zach Harper. Zach, how's it going?
Oh my goodness. You know, the sun's shining, the birds are chirping, the Bucks are parading. Like what a time to be alive.
Is that Bucks parade swinging through LA?
It probably is, you know. I mean, Costas is on the Lakers, so at some point I figured they got to come pick him up and swing by. I don't know if that's a good route to take, but you know, he's got to get involved somehow.
I don't want to offend every NBA fan not in LA, but why wouldn't you have a championship parade? Just swing through LA too. You do your home city and then might as well just hit LA.
The traffic means that you get to see as much of the parade as possible if you're in one spot on the route, you know, like it's just, you know, it's what a place to have it. The air is, you know, sometimes it's clean-ish, you know.
Is
why,
it clean?
Why wouldn't you have? No, never. Like, it was clean. Like the first 3 months of the pandemic, it kind of cleared up.
Right.
We're like, oh yeah, this looks like you know, like the sky now, and no, we're back to smog.
Yeah. So I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. We don't really have a smog issue, but we now have Canadian wildfires.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like it's just hazy in the south of you know.
Yeah, we've got the wildfires here too. It's usually a gender reveal gone wrong, but yeah, we've got wildfires here.
Of course, those are getting out of hand. Yeah. Zach, as you know, we start the show, or we want our guests to be able to share with us their breakfasts. Have you had any good breakfast recently? Championship
recently?
Bucks championship breakfast? I
didn't do a Bucks championship breakfast. I haven't had breakfast the last couple of days, but the last real good one I had was a few days ago. And it was a breakfast burrito from this little coffee spot I go to. It's like this little like shack on the corner of an intersection here, and the place is called Superba. And they have an amazing breakfast burrito that's got like, you know, bacon and peppers and potatoes and eggs and everything that you would expect, cheese. But what they do is they have like this layer of melted cheese that's been fried a little bit and steamed on the outside of the tortilla. So you're getting like this cheesy crunch on the bottom side of the burrito. It's fantastic.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with a breakfast burrito. So this Bucks championship parade, I mean, congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting for them and their fans. Seeing this parade, I know they got Brandon Jennings involved. Sure. I feel like maybe there's some other guy. Like I feel like Ersan Ilyasova should be there. Are there any guys that you feel like should have been invited to also participate in this championship celebration?
Yeah, like Michael Redd and Brandon Jennings kind of like involved themselves out of nowhere. And there's this whole like, I don't know, internet thing is like Brandon Jennings set the culture. Is like him just coining Bucks and Six isn't culture. Like it's marketing. Like that's the two very different things. No offense to Brandon Jennings, but you know, things kind of got serious here when you know, that whole regime was out. And I don't think that's a him problem. I think that was just a regime problem. And then, you know, it took a few years to get it right. But I guess like, you know, selfishly, I'd say Rafer Alston.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, that's a throwback, but that's because when he was a second round pick on the Bucks, I don't know if it was his rookie year, maybe second year. I can't remember when it was, but I was at a Sacramento Kings game as a teenage fan, and I got him to sign a Bucks hat. So I have a signed Rafer Alston Bucks hat. I'm a huge, and one mixtape guy. Skip to My Lou was my favorite guy. So yeah, Rafer would definitely be there. I saw Yi Jianlin's first open scrimmage in Milwaukee when he was a rookie, and so I guess I'd like him to be involved there. And then I don't know, just like a random one, like I always loved the Todd Day. I think it was Todd Day and Lee Mayberry. I think they had Mayday as the backcourt for a brief amount of time. So I think that
that's
that
perfect.
would be the one that I
have obviously the connection with Bobby Portis, the Arkansas connection. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
What
about you? Who would you?
Well, you saying Yi Jianlin, I was thinking that reminded me of Joe Alexander. I was like, if we're talking bad draft picks,
let Joe dunk. Maybe absolutely. Yeah.
Michael Redd's involvement, could he actually should he be wearing his Suns jersey underneath? Because
I feel like he should. Yeah.
He played a handful of games on the Suns. I mean, my first thought was like the guys who I saw on Twitter, like like the Greg Monroe, the Zaza Pachulia, guys who were like, man,
Greg Monroe had a summer sizzle reel the other day from like some open run that he was doing. He's just dunking on everybody. Well, I guess
he's only 31.
He's 31. Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, Greg Monroe and Brandon Jennings are both 31.
Yeah, I mean,
they're very, very young.
He got Roy Hibberted, right? Like he just got moved out of the league when he hit like 29, and now he's an afterthought. But I saw like he looks like he's in good shape, so yeah, he should be in the parade for sure.
I don't know whether like Frank Burkowski, like should we? I had a Game Boy game. I had a Game Boy. I don't remember what the name of the game was, but I had an NBA Game Boy game where Frank Burkowski was the Bucks representative.
Sure. I mean, like we could even wasn't Jack Sigma a Buck at one point?
Oh, 100%. And his perm.
Yeah. In the perm.
Brad Lowhouse.
Just
naming some guys.
Yeah. I remember I struggled with trying to figure out how to say that name of when I was a kid, Brad Lowhouse. Like that was,
am I saying it right?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I think you got it. Yeah. I think you got it. And then, Sherman Douglas.
Oh,
Sherman Douglas was a Buck at one point, I think.
I don't associate him with the Bucks.
I think it was like early to mid-ish 90s. This might have been like a Tecmo basketball thing, like where that I'm remembering. Sure. But yeah, I remember seeing Sherman Douglas in a Bucks jersey at some point.
What about Tony Kukoc? I mean
Tony Kukoc, that's a Hall of Famer. It's a legend. Of course he should be there.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on how this now reflects this championship? I mean, anytime a team wins a championship, history becomes etched. Everything is set in stone. The narratives are then formed around the result. How do you think this reflects on Mike Budenholzer? Like he now becomes laughingstock to Hall of Famer?
I still don't think he's that great of a coach. Like, it's probably not as cartoonish as it was, but and maybe I'm just sinking into the fact that I've been calling him Mr. Magoo for a year, as the Bucks have success in this playoff run. But everyone's talking about the adjustments that he made. Like he made some slight adjustments. He played Giannis more. I think the bigger adjustment was Giannis adjusting to his body after the injury and not trying to be a guard anymore. And I think it simplified things for where he was just a big man now and he dominated.
You're saying, and I've heard this, you're saying Giannis's knee injury against the Hawks slowed him down. It put the limiter on his car engine.
Yeah.
And somehow now that he's not going 110% and he just was limited to 95, that was the missing ingredient. That was the secret key to Giannis' dominance, was him actually being forced physically to slow down a little bit.
I think so, because when you look at it, we got caught up with guys being big point guards at one point, right? And Jason Kidd played him at point guard. And I do think there's a lot of value to playing a guy down a position, because they learn usually a playmaking aspect to it, right? Zach LaVine was played at point guard, and Wolves fans complained about it when he was a rookie. But the idea was you need to learn that there are other people on the court. And Victor Oladipo was played at a young age at a position down. Kevin Durant was played as a shooting guard when he was in Seattle. This is a good way to kind of build skill. And so when Jason Kidd put Giannis at point guard, we're like, oh my God, he's a 6'11" point guard. You don't want a 6'11" point guard, okay? Yeah, I get Magic Johnson was a tall point guard. You don't want that, okay? That's really hard to pull off. And so, Giannis is a center. He's a big. That's what he's a big with a handle and can pass a little bit. And so, the idea of like making him into a perimeter player, I think was always kind of limiting them as an offense. But you put Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday in a pick and roll with Giannis, how do you stop that? Like, that's so hard to stop. And I think the knee injury forced him to play a little slower, a little more limited, but in limiting what he was able to do on the court, he got to just be a bully. He got to be Shaq, and look at it. Like, look what happened.
He definitely was the bully. Thinking back to Jason Kidd, who, again, another guy kind of fun to mock for a lot of the things he's done as a coach. He was pilloried back in the day for forbidding Giannis to shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Like, every informed, respected NBA writer was like, the Bucks are always going to be limited with Jason Kidd because he's banned 3-pointers from Giannis, and we all know 3's worth more than 2. Jason Kidd was right here, guys.
He was right.
He was right. Stop shooting 3s.
Jason Kidd might not be as bad of a coach as we think. Now, I'm not saying he's a good coach. We'll see. We'll see in Dallas how things have evolved for him. But there is this weird thing where, like, we never allow coaches to improve. We just, like, the first thing we see with them is how they are. And sometimes that holds up, but sometimes it very much doesn't. And so I am curious. Jason Kidd was humbled a little bit. He was on a championship coaching staff, and now he gets a chance to like redo this. I'm wondering if he's going to be able to like be better with Luka as his main guy, and rather than a young and developing Giannis who doesn't quite have the skill set to do what he needed him to do.
If he bans Luka from shooting 3s, we'll know we have a problem.
We know then we have a problem. If he's just like, Kristaps, you do whatever you want. If this is your team,
yeah, that's right.
We know
if he comes out preseason, Kristaps is our point guard.
He's our guy.
We're gonna play through him. So on the other side of the aisle from the Bucks, you have the disappointment of the Suns. Namely, I think most NBA fans who don't already hate him feel a little bit bad for Chris Paul. I know there's a significant population, just that is happy that he lost. I can't decide. This like Scott Foster subplot.
Oh my God.
Are we making too much of it, or are we not making enough of it? I don't feel like it's in the. I feel like if he's really lost 13 straight postseason games, that's a weird aberration. But is this just a tiny segment of like NBA Twitter that cares to do it? No normal person
casual
thinks
fan
about
has
this.
no idea who Scott Foster is.
Okay.
The casual fan has no idea who he is. It's just not a thing. And so my issue with this is Danny Crawford. Danny Crawford was a fantastic referee. Mm-hmm. There was a point where I think the Mavericks were like 2-17 or some ridiculous record with him as a referee. And Mavericks fans, this must have been early 2000 or early 2010s, because this is something that like during the championship run, even I think it was brought up. And so there were Mavericks fans that were bringing this up. I'm like, he's a good official. This is randomness, right? Now, Scott Foster is not a good official. That's the issue. It's not that he's refereeing Chris Paul games. We don't know what his record is against anyone else because we haven't really checked to look. But like, he's just not a good official. The issue is that he is doing finals games at all, not that he is doing a Chris Paul game. There's no he may not like Chris Paul. I don't think that matters. I really don't.
He had that thing, was it last year or 2 years ago? I think it was last year in game 7 of Thunder Rockets, where apparently before the game, Scott Foster was like, hey, I know you've lost like 10 straight while I've refed you. And that was the whole conversation. He just said that. He said one thing.
Because it's a conversation that's being brought up. Something just fell behind you.
Pau Gasol just took a dive off my wall.
Wow, Pau Gasol couldn't believe it. It's something where like people are aware of it. I'm sure Chris Paul's like agent or the executives of Chris Paul's whatever team he's on is bringing that up to the league. It's not like it's a fact nobody's aware of. But I would be shocked if Scott Foster is so unprofessional that he is trying to keep this thing going. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I'd be shocked. I'd be less shocked if the league realized, like, you know what, maybe he shouldn't be doing finals games. We've got better officials than this.
Maybe it's a bad image.
Maybe we shouldn't have him and Tony Brothers in the same one. Like,
if I'm going to argue the randomness thing, I would go towards he is clearly someone that the league holds in high esteem as one of their top officials. So these are usually big games. And then we get a chicken or the egg thing.
Right.
Is this Chris Paul just failing in a big game because maybe he's done that a couple times, or also it's hard to win those big games, like these big.
By the way, the playoffs are hard. Like that happens. Like we can also just leave it up to that. I mean, I think that Yeah, that's another interesting thing because the league does think that he's a good official.
Yeah.
Ed Malloy, right? Ed Malloy, I think a lot of diehards would say he's not that good. I knew a person whose job was for the league to grade referees each game on how they did, and I would talk to this guy about certain referees, and we always disagreed on Ed Malloy. He's like, Ed Malloy grades out really well.
Mm-hmm.
Which shocked me because I just thought Ed Malloy was a bad official. So maybe it's my bias, maybe it's the league's bias, or maybe there's something where there's just a disconnect there. But yeah, there are certain officials that some get it for tenure and some like they grade out really well for whatever reason.
Yeah. So Chris Paul, he now has basically, we don't know what he's going to do. Like as far as if he's going to come back to the Suns. I kind of want him to. I feel like it's good for the league. I don't think he's going to find a better situation. But then I realize he did such a great job bringing the Suns team. I mean, they got to the finals. This is a team that had been in the lottery for 10 straight years. And then the previous year, he'd been on the Thunder team, a Thunder whose GM wanted them to tank. And he was like, Chris Paul's like, nah, I'd rather play and be good. And they were good. And so, and the year before that, he was on the Rockets, and the Rockets were amazing that year. So, like, should he stick with the Suns, or should he, in the style of Dr. Sam Beckett from the TV show Quantum Leap, continue jumping team to team every year, fixing a new situation wherever he lands?
I mean, I do try to pattern a lot after Scott Bakula, so I get it. Yeah. I think there's something to the idea of he has rehabbed his image a lot, right? His Q rating a lot.
Oh, huge.
With NBA fans by doing the Thunder thing and then the Suns this year. It may be beneficial because we always talk about, oh my God, look at the turnaround, right? Like when he joined the New Orleans organization, I think they went up like 19 or 20 wins or something like that his rookie year. When he joined the Clippers, they improved on like a 15-win pace, even though it was the lockout shortened season. When he joined the Rockets, they went up like 10 wins despite being a very successful team the year before.
Right. It was like 55-65 or something.
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
And the Thunder wasn't a big jump. It might even have been falling 1 or 2 games, but also like they had gutted that team and they were supposed, as you mentioned, they were supposed to tank and be bad. And then this year you go from, I know we were very impressed by the bubble and the 8-0 run. That team was 26-39 going into the bubble last year.
Yeah.
Right. Like they were so bad that we were wondering, like, why are the Suns and why are the Wizards being invited to Orlando? There's no reason for them to be there. And then they took advantage of it. And then they built on that by bringing Chris Paul in. But yeah, they got there because Chris Paul is that good. And so I do think there's something, the idea of like, he should just finish out his career on these 1-year max deals.
Love it.
Just go fix, like, if he could get the Knicks into like the conference finals, like that is legendary on a, like, that we'll forget about all this other stuff. Like if he could fix the Knicks to not just be a playoff, appearance, but to be someone that goes deep in there, then the Chris Paul story goes out of control.
What are the teams that Chris Paul we could not get to the playoffs next year? Like I was like, if he goes to the Bulls, come on, they're gonna win 50 games.
Right. Yeah. Bulls would be really good.
Like if he goes to, could he carry the Magic? Who do the Magic? Gary
Magic
Harris is on the Magic?
Magic don't have a lot of talent.
Wendell Carter Jr.
Wendell Carter Jr. Terrence Ross, I think, is under contract.
Would he fix Mo Bamba?
I don't know if they're fixing Mo Bamba at this point, and I had such high hopes for Mo Bamba. I'm really disappointed by that.
Mo Bamba needs Chris Paul. I've decided.
I would say Orlando he can't fix. Sacramento I think is just worthless. Like nothing can fix the Kings. They don't.
Oh, you think Kang's culture is too strong?
I think it's too strong.
He
couldn't do it. No, he couldn't do it. I don't think he could fix the Wolves. I think he'd murder everybody on that team. So I think he'd like Anthony Edwards.
That's a good.
I don't think he could fix the Wolves. Could he get the Cavs to the play? I think he could get the Cavs to the playoffs. I think he could do that. Yeah. Like I think like there are not many teams I don't think he could get there.
Man,
that
Wolves one is tough to me. On paper, it'd be perfect.
He would hate Karl Anthony Towns. Like he would hate D'Angelo Russell. Like I don't think he'd like them.
What if Chris Paul just followed around Ricky Rubio and replaced Ricky Rubio every year? So
maybe
like
that's it, right? Because
so Ricky Rubio is like John the Baptist setting the way for Jesus the Christ to come.
Right.
Is that, I don't know if people caught that. I'm familiar.
I think that's I mean, I went to 12 years of Catholic school. So,
there you go.
Yeah, I'm locked in. Yeah, I think that's something to that, right? Maybe it's not just Chris Paul. Maybe it's Ricky Rubio kind of sets the table, and then Chris Paul brings the dinner. Like I think that's what it is.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide now which team I want Chris Paul if it's not the Suns.
I know it would be annoying, but I do want to see him on the Knicks. I want to see the whole spectacle of just the conversation around the Knicks all year as Chris Paul's there, and they'll be better, and they'll be sort of like sneaky dangerous and everything, and then eventually it won't work in the playoffs, and then it's just gonna go. The conversation's gonna be insane.
Yeah, that would be pretty.
I'm here for
great.
the chaos. Yeah.
So Devin Booker on the losing team on Friday, he has to fly on a private plane.
Yeah.
To Tokyo.
Yeah.
With Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. My sources tell me that's a long flight.
It is. Yeah, I've heard that.
Seems kind of awkward. It had me wondering, like, have you ever been in a situation, like a travel situation, maybe that awkward, where you're like, guys, this is going to be a long time.
It wasn't a long flight. It was just Vegas to Sacramento, but I was disgusting. So I woke up about an hour before my flight was supposed to take off in my Vegas hotel room. Just the night before, just saturating me.
Yeah.
And I woke up in a panic. I grabbed all my stuff. I threw it in a bag. I ran down. I took the elevator downstairs. I ran out to the cab line. I yelled at everyone. I said, I'm late for my flight. I just jumped the cab line, apologized. They let me go. Got to the airport.
Just flipping casino chips at everybody to apologize. Hey man,
people,
my bad. Here's one for you, one for you.
Luckily the airport's like 5 minutes away from that hotel. I get there, I get through security, I sprint to the gate, get there right before they close the door. I get on the plane, I sit down, and I just like I know I smell bad. And then the alcohol, the effort, the running hit me. I threw up into their little puke bag.
Oh no.
So now you've got the smell of vomit introduced and everything. And those bags, by the way, not big enough for the job that they're supposed to do. I managed to like contain it the best I could. But so now I probably like smell like BO and smoke and alcohol and vomit and stuff. And I just apologize profusely to the people around. I'm so sorry. Like, it was a long night. I just woke up. I got here as quickly as I could. I barely made the flight. Luckily it's only like an hour and 10 minutes or whatever that is. But that was that's one where I felt so uncomfortable. And I was like very hungover and sick.
But you weren't on that plane with like your girlfriend's parents or like a professional colleague. You're looking over at
definitely not.
One of the athletics investors.
It wasn't like me and Sam Amick or anything, just chilling on the flight together. No, it wasn't. It luckily wasn't that. Like in terms of a flight with someone I know, or like a car ride. I mean, I've definitely been in car like road trips before where like a friend and their significant other are fighting. And there's just like the rest of us like just in the car. That's always super uncomfortable.
I was in New York once with I was a third wheel for like an afternoon of an engaged couple. They were friends of mine. But they're like, hey, we're gonna go back to the apartment and take a nap, and so you can just sit in the apartment or whatever. And they started fighting, and they were fighting about it was the dumbest thing. And I was really good friends with the guy, and I just basically met the girl, and I was like, my friend is being a nightmare to do. Like he seems like the most high maintenance guy. I'd never seen the side of him before.
Yeah, that isn't that uncomfortable too. Yeah, where like you're like, oh my god, my friend, guys. What are you doing? This is how you are in a relationship. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. Well, anyway, let's wrap up thinking about next week with the NBA draft. I love the NBA draft. I love NBA draft night because things happen.
Yes.
Players change teams.
Thank you.
Trades. It is the best. I mean, yes, the finals were awesome. Yes, Giannis had a great, 50 points. Woo.
Sure. Yeah, big deal.
But come on, the entire league is now involved. Right. I love draft night. What are the things that you are looking forward to? And what are the deals that you are hoping are actually going to go down?
I'd love like a Ben Simmons trade. I'd love a Damian Lillard trade. I don't think those are going to happen, but I would love like a big swing on something like that. That would be super exciting to me. I love the draft too. Like, I'm so sick of everyone abolish the draft, blah, blah, blah. Look, I get the issues with the draft and the process and everything, but it is my favorite. It's my favorite night of the NBA season unless there's a game 7. It just is. Like, it's not that I don't appreciate the games. It's just like you said, so much happens. I like seeing these kids like have their dreams come true and get that moment and everything. Like, I just think there's so much good that happens on that night. And so I'd love to see like, even like Toronto to shake things up.
Yeah. All right.
Like I wouldn't mind Toronto shaking things up. I wouldn't mind Golden State trying to move up in a big way. I think the Knicks are going to try to move up. Like I think there are some things where we're going to see some big moves throughout the first round. I just don't know if we're going to see many big names move.
So you're putting the odds pretty low. I mean, the Lillard thing, I'm not expecting anything. I feel like there's a chance that Ben Simmons, something could happen. You're saying that's pretty low in your mind too?
I just think if that's going to happen, it's either going to happen in season next year, because I think he may need to prove a little bit like, ooh, look, he took this seriously. And I don't even think it's a shooting thing. I just think it's like an aggressiveness thing at the end of games and stuff. Like I think that's the bigger problem for people than whether or not he can make a jumper. And so I think like that needs to be proven a little bit. So I think that either happens in season or it's like 3 or 4 weeks into free agency.
Okay.
I don't know that it's going to happen draft night, but I've been wrong about that stuff plenty of times.
So it's going to happen. It's going to happen while I'm standing in line at McCarran Airport security. I'm a little like I already feel a little sick. It's kind of hot in the airport.
Yeah.
It's starting to feel like I'm sweating. By the way,
could they? I get it's in the desert. Could you put that airport with the air conditioning like just like make it a little colder in there? Like that
Zach, technology has limits. I think it's 110 degrees outside, and the airport's big.
They built a pyramid that's got a light that shoots up into the sky in Las Vegas. I think they can handle
they do have
the air conditioning a little bit lower.
That beautiful light. No, man, I'm also eyeing, you have the Warriors. Everyone's like, oh, they're looking for help now. They got 7-14. They're gonna make a trade, even though no one can like say a name of a player who makes sense. Like, what are you talking about?
That's the thing.
Like, what's help now?
Bradley Beal isn't forcing his hand yet, right? And like even Damian Lillard is kind of like not doing the thing that we all have believed is going to happen since like, early May. And so at this point, like, I think that I think we need a little bit more James Harden in this, where guys just make it uncomfortable. Like, I think that's what we need. I think we need Bradley Beal to like, raise a stink about it. That's how you get traded if you want to get traded. Now, maybe he wants to stay. I could be wrong about that, right? Like maybe long-term he wants to stay, but I'd like someone to act like a diva here. That's what I want.
Yeah, maybe if we get this rumored Russell Westbrook going to the Lakers.
I do. Now that
then Chris Paul can say, I want to go, my new team, I'm going to fix the Wizards.
Oh, what if he's just following Russ?
So he's just following, he followed Russ that time.
Rubio. Yeah, absolutely.
Then we got to find a home for Schroeder.
Do we though?
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm again, like the Warriors are a team that when you circle those 2 picks, like the Magic have 2 picks, but like they basically need 2 bites at the apple. I mean, I feel like don't get weird.
Orlando, like your last core was awful. Okay. Yeah. We can pretend we like Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier and Nikola Vucevic. That thing topped out at a 7 seed and it was never going to get better than that. So I'm glad that they hit that reset. They did the smart thing here. Now just slowly build. Yeah,
go ahead, draft your Tobias Harris's, your Victor Oladipo's, and give them away after a couple of years.
Exactly.
Just drive something. No, the Warriors thing when they're like, now that we know who the draft people are, it's like no one's trading anything good for Corey Kispert and James Bouknight. I don't think.
Right. Yeah.
But
I do like James Bouknight a lot.
You do?
Though. Oh my God, he's good.
Is he your guy?
Yeah, he's one of them.
Who are your guys? Well, that'll be last thing. Who are your draft guys that we should circle?
So like outside the obvious like top 4, I do think Jalen Suggs should be like right up there as the number 2 guy with Green and Mobley, and I think for a lot of people do consider him that way, but everyone seems kind of resigned of like, no, you take Mobley or you take Green, and then Suggs is like the afterthought. And I think Suggs is amazing, so I do like him a lot. I like Bouknight, like he can fly. I think he's going to be a good shooter. I like his scoring mentality. I like Moses Moody. Moses Moody's going to be a really nice player.
That's the one Grizzlies fans have circled as if the Grizzlies maybe trade up, maybe they can try to get their hands on him.
I like Chris Duarte for the Grizzlies for a bit, but I don't think he's making it past the Warriors at 14. They apparently really like him. So, but I like that idea. I love Kai Jones. I think Kai Jones is a really nice big man. I think he's way better than people are giving him credit for. Who else do I like? I like Trey Murphy. Who's the point guard? Ayo Dosunmu.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a lot of fun. I love Bones Highland. I love anyone named Bones. Like,
how can you not? He's one of those guys where you're like, I don't like, what's his name? Oh, that's good. Don't tell me anymore. I don't need a clip.
I just need you just tell me, hey, Bones Highland is available in the draft. I'm going to take him and think like I'm getting a score or I'm getting like a pitcher from the 1915 season.
It's one of those things where you have a nickname that people have accepted. Like if you either named yourself Bones and everyone was like, okay, that makes sense. Or if someone named you Bones,
right? Either
way, I'm good. And I'm interested in you as a draft prospect.
Absolutely. Like we just accept PJ Tucker as PJ Tucker. Like his name is Al. Like his name's Al Tucker. We just call him PJ.
But I mean, PJ, you tell me a guy's named PJ, I don't care. I don't even know that's a nickname. You tell me your name is Bones.
Bones and
okay.
Get out of here. Yeah. And then for like a second round guy that I really like Josh Christopher. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's a project, but I think I'm in on him, and I like Jericho Sims as a big man in the second round. He's
the jumper, right?
Oh my God,
he's the clutch pro day guy who did a dunk like where everyone's like, was that a 9-foot rim? That didn't look right at all.
He made it look like a Nerf hoop. So it's like him and Keon Johnson are the two like real leapers in this draft. Yeah, but I like both of them. I like Keon too.
Well, sounds good. Well, Zach, thanks so much for coming on, and I look forward to you coming on again sometime.
Absolutely. Lay off Scott Foster. He's got enough problems with his job. All right, let's stop
it's a tough job.
Him for. Yeah, it's a tough job. He's not good, but let's stop blaming him for Chris Paul.
Lay off him. He's terrible.
Well, yeah, okay. Get him. Just have him be better at his job. But
he's not dirty. He's bad.
Paul.
He's not dirty. He's bad.
Yeah,
it's an important distinction.
He's just incompetent. He's not evil.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, see you, bud.
That's great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.